Well, this weekend we have that famous gospel, the pearl of great price. I think it brings up the question for you and me, what is the thing that has the greatest value, or what do we value most in our lives? I was growing up, and my dad has a favorite TV show, which I think sort of gets at this question, and it's Antiques Roadshow. I think it's still one of his favorites. I haven't seen it in a while, but one of the things, so my siblings and I would often find ourselves watching it with him, and there were two different types of things we enjoyed. The first was when someone would come in and they've just emptied their house or their estate, or maybe parents have just passed away, and so they just brought in this stuff that they have no idea its value. And then they find out that one thing is worth thousands, and they're just filled with joy. And then there's other people who come in with great certainty. They're so certain that this stuff, this thing, this item is worth a lot of money, and then the appraiser says it's actually worthless. I don't know what it says about me, but I enjoy those moments the best, But the point of this is, I think it actually gets at something in the human heart, and that's we actually don't do a great job judging the correct value of things, of assessing the value of the most important things in our lives. A great example of this comes from the movie Soul. So if you don't know the movie, it's a Pixar movie, it's a Disney movie. Honestly, I don't think it's for kids. It deals with very adult themes, but it is a kid's movie. It's meant to be. But if you don't know the story, it's very simple. It goes like this. There's this man, his name is Joe, and Joe is a jazz teacher. He teaches in the middle school and high school, and his life is unfulfilled because for his entire life, all he's wanted to be is a famous jazz musician. And so one day, he finally gets his big break. He gets invited to play with this very famous band at a nightclub. And so right before he's supposed to play in this band, he falls in a manhole, and a little ghost flies up, which Disney movie way of saying he dies. He dies right before his big break. And then he's, of course, in the afterlife, and they're all headed up these stairs, presumably to heaven. And he's like, oh no, I can't go there. I was just about to have my big break, like the most exciting thing, the thing I've been wanting in my whole life. And so he runs down the stairs. There's this whole story of him escaping the afterlife until he finally gets back into the real world, into his body. At the very end of the movie, he's at this nightclub. He's playing his saxophone. He has the time of his life. He enjoys it. And then he looks at the lady after they're done, and he says to her, what do we do next? And she just says, we come back and do it again tomorrow. And then he has kind of a somber look on his face, and he goes back home, and he goes into his apartment, and he just plays the piano softly. And then he looks around his room, and he just sees all of these signs of ordinary life. And in that moment, Joe realizes that for his entire life, he's treasured the wrong thing. His greatest treasure in life was something he never had, which was success and fame. And right now, he finally realizes that the greatest treasure, and I'm going to quote him, he says, was just regular old living. Just to be alive is the greatest treasure. And I wonder for us, as we gather, we read this gospel and listen to Jesus' words, might it be the case that we're just like Joe, that we're grasping for these wrong things, these wrong treasures, without realizing we already have the greatest treasure? This summer I've been trying to slow down. I've been trying to kind of catch my breath a bit before the school year begins and all the things. And so I've been trying to also read some more stuff that I want to get through as a pastor, and just kind of my own things that I just think will be helpful. Anyway, reading for me is audible, by the way. So it's not actually reading, it's listening. But one of the books that I've been reading is talking about these different data points, data stuff that pastors, Catholic priests should know. And one of the data points it explained was talking about how Catholic adults in the United States were asked one question in this survey. And the survey asked this: do you believe that you can have a personal relationship with God? That was the question. And the answer was shocking. Again, this is the group, the target audience was Catholic adults. And the survey results were this: that over half believed and said the answer was no, that they could not have a personal relationship with God. Which left me asking the question, why? Why don't people believe that we have a God who loves us, that created us, that wants nothing more than to have a mutual reciprocal relationship with you and me, where he loves us and we love him in return? And I think part of the answer is the struggle of this gospel, that so often we're grasping for the wrong thing. Might it be, I don't know, the Detroit Lions? You know, if the Lions ever won a Super Bowl, you know what? It would be exciting. It would still be nothing compared to the forgiveness I receive in confession. It'd be nothing compared to that. Might it be, for some of us, the desire for success or money or what's ever popping up in your mind right now might be that thing for you that we're grasping for without realizing we already have the thing, the greatest treasure in our life. And what's that? As I said for Joe, it was him realizing that living life was the greatest gift. For us as Catholics, what's the greatest gift that we already have? It's a personal relationship with God. And experiencing that type of relationship, what does it do? It makes us experience life fully alive in Christ.